Hey creatives, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nila. I make videos about bullet journaling, creativity and self-compassion. Today I have a bit of a different video. Not really, I made a similar one last year. And we are gonna talk about mid-year or end of the quarter reflection. This is something that I really like to do and that has helped me understand myself, my life and the past, a lot in the past, and helps me to look back at the last months and realize how my life was basically. And I find that reflection is not only a great tool for better or more self-awareness, it's also a great tool for self-consciousness, which is something that I'm trying to get better at, because it helps you realize that things were not as negative as sometimes we have them in our memory, or it helps you to realize how much you already achieved in a year or something. And yeah, so that's what we're looking at today. And I like to do this kind of reflection every 3 months, so like every quarter at the moment, or in this year. It's nothing that I have done consistently since I'm bullet journaling, but I think at the moment it's really helping me to see that I'm moving forward, that I'm going somewhere, and that I'm achieving the things that I set my mind to for this year, and also to realize that sometimes things are changing, and that's okay. But you could do that at the end of a month if you want to, or just once a year, whenever you feel that could be helpful for you. And yeah, I hope that this can be helpful for you, that you can get some ideas from my ideas. Yeah, let me know if you reflect in your bullet journal and how you do that. What are your favorite questions to ask yourself in reflection? And I would say, without further ado, let's jump into my notebook where this is all happening. So let's flip to the last couple of pages in my good old B5 notebook therapy journal. I'm honestly glad that this phase is over. It has been a lot, and yeah, I think though that a half-year, quarter review will be a nice way to finish this journal and to give it like a clean cut. Yeah, so let's walk together through what I will be reflecting on and how I'm doing it. It is fairly simple, just a couple of questions. And what I'm gonna do is set them up in 2 mind maps and one other technique that we will talk about in a bit. So let's just do that. For decorations, I will do nothing fancy. I will do just a little bit of a heading, and I remember that this is not quarter 3. First mistake here, but something is always, that's what I like to say. We'll see how we can fix that. So for now I will just do it like this. Maybe I will tape something over afterwards, but you know what I mean, quarter 2 and mid-year reflection. I'm not exactly sure what I will want to focus on more, because I already did a quarter 1 reflection, so I guess quarter 2 makes sense because I already reflected on the first one. Around that, we're creating a little mind map. I like that because it gives you space to write additional thoughts when you already moved on to other questions, and I think that is sometimes hard to do when you set fixed boxes or write down each question after another, and then sometimes my head would be like, oh, but what was about that, and that would fit this question, but I have no space left. So a mind map works well for me. So yeah, I will just walk you through the questions that I like to ask myself, and the first one I find interesting is to look back and ask myself, what was my focus? And for my reflections, of course, I like to go through my journal and see what were the things I was writing down, what goals were I setting for myself. I have a page dedicated to my quarterly goals, so that will be something that I will go back to, as well as flipping through the last months to see what I was writing down each day and each month. I have these daily reflection pages that are helpful for this as well. So yeah, this is what I'm doing because my memories are not as reliable as I would like them to be. After that, I'd like to go a bit more into detail about what my goals were. So what were my goals? And in addition to that, ask myself what of them or which of them did I achieve? You could also just ask what did I achieve if goals have changed over time, you had other things that you achieved that are not from your original goals list, if you have one. So yeah, if you are setting yourself goals, that can be something nice to look back at. The next question is a bit similar to what was my focus, but I think it can still be a bit different, and that is what was on my mind. And you can totally interpret. I'm not sure how to pronounce that word, but you know what I mean. It in a way that you feel fits the question. After that, I think it's good to look at what was working well and what wasn't. So I do this by writing down what was. And left and right to that, I add working well and not working well. And I think that is especially helpful for when we go to the next quarter or half year and look at our goals and what we want to change, and yeah, to give us a clear picture of what went well and what obviously didn't. So already half of the questions done, so we move on to the next page. And here I like to ask myself some general things, like listing just some experiences and stuff, and I would do that with asking myself what the highlights were, or I just write down highlights. And writing and talking words. That is hard if you try to record something in one take. Simultaneously, is that a word? It's hard doing that at the same time. Then I always love the question, what did I learn? You could write what did I learn or learnings. I think I write learnings as I planned, because this page here is just single words, so I stick to that. And of course you don't have to put any effort into it to make it look pretty or whatever. You can just write these things down. I probably mostly do that because it gives me a bit more time to explain. After that, I will write down my successes. And you could think that that is similar to goals I achieved or something, but I think successes can be something else as well. That can be big or small things, and I think it's good to remind ourselves, like, maybe it's just, I flossed my teeth every single day for the last 3 months, and that is a success for you, but not necessarily a goal, you know? And last but not least, I like to reflect on some challenges that I was facing, and maybe even how I solve them, what I took away from them, challenges, yes. Yeah, to see what I maybe struggled with in the last months and how I'm feeling about these things now. So yeah, that's already the first page done. And then I just add a little bit of highlights here so that it looks interesting and a bit more easy to look at if you can locate the different questions and categories. So next up, we are setting up the same system, a mind map for the next quarter. So again, I'm just adding a simple heading in the middle of the mind map, and this time I don't write the quarter, I just write next quarter. No messing up with the numbers here. But I write down that it is July till September. And here I have 6 questions that I asked myself at the end of the last quarter as well, and I find them quite good, so keep going with that. We are starting with the question, what do I want to keep? And the question, what do I want to change? I find that with these 2 questions especially it's handy to look back at the previous page and look at what was working well and what wasn't, so that you can decide what can I change and what was working so well that I want to keep it. It's maybe a bit repeating, but I find that repeating questions can give you a bit more clarity as well. So next we're looking again at the focus and asking ourselves, what do I want to focus on? And then talking about goals, what goals do I want to achieve or reach and why? I find that asking yourself why is a good indicator to see if your motivation is coming from yourself, if it's really important to you, or if you're just running behind something that you think you should do. So what you could do here is like draw a line, write the goal, and then draw another line and write the why. And I also like to write a bit about what wishes do I have. Because for me, wishes are a bit more like maybe dreams, versus goals are something really concrete for me that I would try my best to somehow achieve. While with wishes, I would just let them be and not put a lot of action into them, if you know what I mean, and if that makes sense. But it makes sense to me, so I put it in here. Yeah. And last but not least, I like to ask myself, what do I want to experience? Which is a great question for me to make sure that I do stuff that makes me happy and that creates great memories for me, and yeah, having a bit of a little bucket list. And the last page that we are setting up is completely copied from the bullet journal method. It is a mental inventory, and before I talk about that, we are adding that to the heading. So the mental inventory you could also do on a separate piece of paper. That is what Ryder Carroll suggests, I think. But I mean, I have quite a couple of pages left in this notebook and I thought I could do it just in here. And it is basically a method to declutter your mind and to figure out what is important and what you really want to spend your time on. And I think that is a great method to start into a new month, a new quarter, a new year. Do it whenever you feel like your mind is all cluttered up with things you should do, you want to do and stuff. And it gives you a great clarity, I think. So this works by setting up a table with 3 columns. And this is what we're going to do now. Of course, you don't have to use rulers or anything. It doesn't have to look pretty. It is just a functional method. But, you know, I am a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to stuff like that. And all we need to do is add the titles for each column. The first one being working on. So in here go all the tasks or things that you're recently and at the moment working on and that take up your time. The next one is should be working on. And the last one is want to be working on. Now you would have a list of a lot of things that you are doing, that you should be doing, that you want to be doing, but what do you do with this list? The goal here is not to transfer everything in your next notebook or in your next month or whatever. It is to declutter your mind, and that means getting rid of tasks. So I do that pretty intentionally. I just look at the things, I look at what do I need to do, what do I want to do, and what is just not important anymore to me, and then I cross them off. But actually in the bullet journal method there are questions that can help you with that, and I don't remember them all the time. So let's take a look in the book together. I read that recently. I found it has quite a lot of good ideas, even if you bullet journal for quite some time. Ryder Carroll gives you these 2 questions that can be asked if you are not sure if you should keep a task or not. And so that would be the first thing, is it vital? And if the answer to that is yes, keep it. If the answer to that is no, ask yourself, does it matter? And you can ask yourself, does it matter to you or to someone you love? And if the answer to that is yes, then keep it. If it's no, cross it off, forget about it, it's a distraction, you don't need to do that. So much for that. And yeah, I think that's all that I really need to say about this. I like to do that, you don't have to do that, of course, but maybe it's something you might want to try if you haven't already. So yeah, that is basically all that I do for my mid-year and end of the quarter reflection. After that, I will take the information and transfer it over to my next bullet journal, or if you stay in the same bullet journal, you can just transfer them into the next month. And I hope that this was helpful for you, that it includes a few ideas or some ideas that you haven't really heard of before or that weren't on your mind, and that this was generally inspiring to you. If you enjoy what I'm doing, you can support me with subscribing to my channel, liking my videos. I also have a free Patreon page where I share a bit of extra content and specific blog posts to my videos. If you're interested in that, the link for that's in the description. And yeah, I think all that's left to say is that I hope that you're gonna have a great second half of 2023 and that you're doing great, and that I have so many hopes that we see us in my next video. Bye!